around the clock every single day to take more of your money and more of your freedoms. Bernie wants to take your wealth. Beto wants to take your guns. Alexandria wants to strap future generations with $93 trillion worth of tax slavery. And Donald wants the surge, a militarized pre-crime police force. We all need to come to grips with something. The price of freedom is and has always been eternal vigilance. And indifference to this notion is the means by which the people will and have secured their own oppression. And there's no greater way to secure that oppression than to be solidified in your cognitive dissonance of the left versus right paradigm, where you can't even criticize your own leader. This is Trump speaking at the International Association of Chiefs of Police, and listen to what he says about militarizing the police force, which, by the way, is another great way to secure your own oppression.
Last year, my administration charged the largest number of firearm defendants ever recorded in the history of our country. Bill Barr is doing a fantastic job. We've increased federal firearm prosecutions by 44% compared to the last 2 years of the previous administration. This is a record, a new record. 2 years ago, we relaunched and revitalized Project Safe Neighborhoods. Now, federal prosecutors are once again working closely with state and local law enforcement and all of the community leaders to marshal our resources, target crime in the most dangerous areas, and lock up violent offenders. In coming weeks, Attorney General Barr will announce a new crackdown on violent crime, which I think is so important, targeting gangs and drug traffickers in high crime cities and dangerous rural areas. Let's call it the surge. We can come up with lots of names, but we're going to be doing something that's very dramatic, headed up by our great Attorney General, and you're going to see tremendous results very quickly. The best way to reduce gun violence is to put criminals with firearms behind bars. And just so you understand, because I think there is no stronger protector than me, we will always protect our Second Amendment.
What you talking about, Will?
Or might take the firearms first and then go to court, because that's another system. Because a lot of times by the time you go to court, it takes so long to go to court to get the due process procedures. I like taking the guns early. To go to court would have taken a long time. So you could do exactly what you're saying, but take the guns first, go through due process second.
We will always protect our Second Amendment.
Take the guns first, go through due process second.
As you know, in recent years, our country has seen a dangerous trend of criminals assaulting police. We don't like that. But an attack on law enforcement is an attack on all Americans. It's true. Thank you, Alan. And we believe that criminals who murder our police should get the death penalty. To help keep you safe, I've made $600 million worth of surplus military equipment available to local law enforcement. If you remember, the previous administration didn't want to do that. Nobody knew why. Sitting in warehouses, getting older and dustier. And we pay a lot of rent to a lot of landlords all over the country. So someday I said, you'll explain. Actually, I do know why. Because they didn't want to make you look so tough. They didn't want to make you look like you're a threat. They said, that's okay. We want to protect our police. And we made it available.
They want to militarize the police, and Trump really likes this idea. He brags about it. I've given more military weapons to the police than anybody else, this sort of thing. But the one thing that I think is happening, and it's been a problem for a long time, is they don't care about defining the role of government. first, they don't seem to express their interest in a free society. So for me, how do you find a role of government if you want to live in a free society? Well, they're always involved. They're always intervening in our lives and the economy and the whole works. And they claim their justification for doing all this, whether it's the Patriot Act or anything else. We need to keep the people safe.
Yeah.
Anything that'll make the people safe, and the people, buy into this. And I heard it, and you may have heard it in the congressional office after 9/11. They said, Ron, you have to give up a little bit of your freedom, for safety. So that is the story they do. They don't realize it is not necessary, that it escalates, and you give a little bit of your liberty up for a little bit of safety and security. Believe me, we end up with neither one, and that's where we are today. It looks like to be perfectly safe, they'd have to put us in a prison cell. Yeah, we'd be safe from outsiders, criminals, but we wouldn't be safe from the criminals who put us there.
And we provided nearly $29 million to train more than 80,000 police officers. And my administration is also addressing the vile acts of mass violence. We've seen some incredible police officers doing some incredible work recently. A few weeks ago, Attorney General Barr sent a letter to all law enforcement agencies announcing that he will lead an effort across the government to use the most proven method.
So, but this to me looks like a tremendous escalation on violations of civil liberties, although they're always doing more things than they're even legalized to do. They had the Patriot Act to protect us. That didn't work. So they had the Freedom Act, and that was supposed to reform it. That didn't work. We've had the CIA for a long time to protect us. That hasn't worked, And it goes on and on because they just demagogue it. They tell you, oh yeah, we have to make you safe and free. We have to go after the terrorists.
To identify, assess, and engage potential mass shooters before those shooters strike.
They literally mentioned that some of these policies are going to be like how we look for terrorists, and that is
before those shooters strike.
They just demagogue it. They tell you, oh yeah, we have to make you safe and free. We have to go after the terrorists.
To identify, assess, and engage potential mass shooters before those shooters strike. To identify, assess, and engage potential mass shooters before those shooters strike.
They tell you, oh yeah, we have to make you safe and free. We have to go after the terrorists.
To identify, assess, and engage potential mass shooters before those shooters strike.
They literally
Identify, assess, and engage potential mass shooters before those shooters strike.
They literally mentioned that some of these policies are going to be like how we look for terrorists, and that is put them in prison pre-crime and without proper due process. That to me is very dangerous. This might be one of the boldest step in this direction, and let's try to wake up a few people to what's going on.
Guys, if you get something out of these videos, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification icon, give these videos a thumbs up, and share them with everybody you know. That's the only way that I can combat the YouTube suppression and censorship algorithms.
What's up, folkers? Snapzilla Gorilla, aka Snap Turtle, aka The Definition, aka Arthur M.E. Magnum. What you just heard was audio from a video done by Brian from High Impact Flicks, High Impact Vlogs. He has a lot of great content. Go check him out if you ain't checked him out yet. I don't agree with him with certain issues in regards to race, but he is truly a freedom lover, just much like myself. And I got mad respect for this dude. He does a lot of good work with his videos. He puts a lot of time in. Go check him out. He has a lot of great stuff, a lot of great content. But yeah, I'm going to talk about this video in particular. But you guys got to give me a minute. I'll get back on it. So this will be part 1. I'll get back at you with part 2.